Okay. I'm gonna break down for you. Okay. I'm gonna break down for you how these governments or this government, so-called government of the earth, is controlling you with your own blood. I'm gonna break this down using science to show you exactly what is being done to you right under your nose. It's right here. It's science. And I'm going to break it down for you and tell you what you need to do to counteract this nefarious plot being hatched by this one world government, okay, in line with these corporations, these so-called broadcasters of information, because as we all know, energy itself is information. So what's being broadcast? What's in all these radio waves? This 5G technology. I'm going to break down what 5G is in a second, but just remember this, okay? Every country in the world wants to be the first to complete their 5G rollout. Why is that? Why is it competition amongst them? At your job, when you're competing with your coworkers, you're doing that at the behest of who? Of your boss. The boss of these governments is telling them that they need to get this 5G out quickly and as quickly as possible. Okay? Now, why would they do that? Why would your boss tell everybody on the staff at your job that they have to accomplish a task as quickly as possible, to the point where they're competing to figure out who's going to be the winner? Okay, there's two reasons. There's threats and there's rewards. And what do we know about this one world government? Okay, they reward those who do things for them and punish those who fail to do things for them. Because what they want is control. What do they want to control? They want to control you and me and everybody else who's not a member of this cartel. How do they do that? Through the blood. How do you control a family tree? How do you control the different kinds of genetic mutations you get when you are breeding dogs, cats, etc., cows, all that stuff? Through the blood. That's how you do it. And what is the major component in human blood? Anybody? It's the iron. Iron is in your blood. Iron is known as a ferrous material. You know what that means? Look it up. It's a ferromagnetic. Now this 5G technology, okay, it controls all the different electromagnetic frequency bands that went into 3G, 4G, 2G, 1G, whatever you want to call it. The radio, the Bluetooth, the Wi-Fi, all of that is energy. And as we all know, energy is information. Now, we all have ferromagnetic blood because we have iron in it. And it's tuned to the electromagnetic field of the earth. Okay? What happens when you introduce all these other electromagnetic frequencies into the air? The blood is ferromagnetic. When I introduce electromagnetism through the air, which is energy, and energy is what? Information. So now instead of this information from the earth that your body is supposed to be receiving, you are receiving all this other stuff from these other cats, spreading all this electromagnetic energy and information throughout your body. Why is this important? Because the only way for anything to get into your brain is through your blood. Your blood travels up into your brain. That's how it works. The blood travels to the brain. Now, any of this other stuff that they try to give you, any of these other, the vitamins and tonics and medicines and all that, okay? There's a thing called the blood-brain barrier. This other stuff can't get through that. Only things carried in the blood can get through the blood-brain barrier. Okay? So what happens when I introduce all these new electromagnetic frequencies? What's that? Electromagnetic. Magnetic. Like your blood is magnetic. When I introduce these frequencies full of this information into the air and surround the planet in a field of this 5G technology, what do you get? What do you get? I am blasting you with information without your consent. And you have no choice but to absorb all this information, because your blood is magnetic and so is the information. It's like when you record onto a tape, you're recording onto magnetic material. And when you play it back, it's only going to play back what you recorded onto it. Your blood is magnetic material, just like a cassette tape. So all they have to do is put certain things into this electromagnetic energy, and your magnetic blood is going to respond. Now, how do you fix this? How do you avoid this? It's quite simple. We have to remove the iron from the blood. How do you do that? An alkaline diet. Drink a cup of baking soda. I'm sorry. Drink a glass of water, 16 ounces exactly, with 1 tablespoon of baking soda in it every morning. That will alkalize all the ferromagnetic material in your bloodstream and prevent you from picking up these signals. Other people are going to say, that's crazy, that won't work. They're going to say, well, this science over here, my science, their science says it doesn't work. Who are you going to believe? Keep in mind, these people saying this, they are also operating under a ferromagnetic mindset. They couldn't tell the truth if they wanted to, because they don't know the truth, because they can't, because they are consistently absorbing this electromagnetic spectrum that's being pumped out all over the world. And it's even more powerful now because of the 5G. It's not going to stop there, people. 5G is going to turn into 6G and 7G and 8G. And when you get to that 8G, that's a very important turning point with the 8G. Because 8, look at that number, 8. Turn it on its side. What is that? That's infinity. 8G will represent an infinite source of this bad energy information being transmitted throughout the universe. Right now, right this very second, they are surrounding the earth with satellites specifically to broadcast 5G signals across every inch of the planet. Now, why in the hell would you need to be broadcasting 5G from space? It doesn't make sense. We got cell towers all over the place. Why do you need to broadcast from space? It's because they're not going to be broadcasting down here from space. They're going to be broadcasting out to space. And this is all a setup for the 8G technology. Talk to anybody in the industry. They know. They'll tell you. Do your research. Research it. Look it up. Read the research. You can't make this stuff up, man. You just can't. 8G is going to face outwards into the universe. And all this faulty information is going to be broadcast far and wide. And as you know, in space, when you broadcast an electromagnetic signal, it goes on infinitely. You can't lose energy in space. It just spreads out. Okay? This is all paving the way. This is paving the way for an invasion fleet. Now, they're not going to invade us physically. It's not going to be a big alien standing there in front of you, because they're already here. They're already here. They're the ones who are pushing this 5G rollout. They want to control our blood so that we do things like, for instance, destroy the very atmosphere that we're supposed to be breathing. Why? Because it's less suitable to them. They want this atmosphere on this planet to be just enough for us to live 25, 30 years. And then that's going to be our lifespan in the future. They need us there just long enough to work for them. And then we're gone. They don't want us taking care of old folks, stuff like that. No. They want us to reproduce as quickly as possible, last just long enough to do the dirty work for them, and then pass away. That's what they want, people. That's what they want from you. That's what they want from me. But I'm on to it. I understand. So once we hit that 8G, there's going to be no holding them back. 8G is the signal that's going to be broadcast out there. And they're going to come here. First wave is going to come here through the blood. They're going to come through the blood. You see, like I said, okay, these ferromagnetic energies of materials, this magnetism, this electromagnetic spectrum is just information. And like I said before, like we all know, our blood is ferromagnetic. So our blood holds any information broadcast into it. So all they have to do from their home world is beam that electromagnetic energy into our bodies. Now, they're not going to do it to everyone. They're going to do it first to the people in power, because the people in power have made a deal with them to host the information, or the brain information of these remote controllers, to pave the way. That's why all these governments, all these heads of government, all these leaders in technology, that's why they want this 5G to roll out so badly. They're going to suffer if it doesn't. Their masters are going to suffer if it doesn't. Okay, this 5G technology, this is some stuff, man. This is some stuff, people. And if you don't resist it, they're going to come for you. They're going to take you out, because you're trouble to them. So please, people, first thing in the morning, when you get up, and first thing or last thing at night when you go to sleep, you need to drink 16 ounces of alkaline water with 1 spoon of baking soda in it, 1 tablespoon of baking soda in it. That will block you from absorbing this information into your blood, and slowly by slowly start replacing the iron in your blood with a different non-ferromagnetic element. Because we don't want the iron. Because the iron is too sensitive to this electromagnetic radiation that's being brought out. The baking soda molecule, the calcium molecule, will wrap around this iron atom in your blood and block it. Like when you shield a cable, like when you insulate a cable. Okay, when you pick up the cable to your box fan or your computer or whatever, you don't get shocked. You know why? Because it's insulated. Okay? Only an alkaline solution is going to insulate you from that. Otherwise, there's no telling what is being pumped into you. But you're receiving all this information. And it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop or keep piling up. Until you look at the radio stations. Why are they broadcasting radio stations 24 hours a day? TV stations 24 hours a day. Look at your phone when you go and look up for a Wi-Fi connection. There's hundreds of Wi-Fi connections all around you. You ever lose a cell phone signal anymore? No, it's almost impossible. You are surrounded by this information, and it's being beamed into you without your knowledge into your blood. Unless you completely alkalize your blood, okay, you are going to be a victim of this this plot, this plan. They're gonna take your world from you, just like they beamed a signal, an electromagnetic signal into our blood to make us forget where we came from. Where did we come from? Where did black people come from? Where did they come from? You don't even know. You don't remember where you came from. You came from right here. Black people are native to the United States of America. There is no such thing as the United States of America. We are the Iroquois Confederation on the East Coast, and we're the Hopi and Navajo on the West Coast. You know, like, where these people come from? Where they come from? You don't know. You don't know where you came from. Europeans don't know where they came from. Okay? This isn't a black-white thing. Okay? Because originally, this entire planet was populated purely with black people. They broadcast a signal eons ago into the blood of the black people here that turned some of them white. That's what it did. And all the other races were created through a broadcast of specific frequencies beamed down from satellites that had been in orbit for many centuries before the first one of these invaders even arrived on Earth. Okay? Why do you think they say everybody came out of Africa? Who are these other people? They was created from black people through the manipulation of the blood, of the chemical properties of the blood through electromagnetic radiation. Okay? Don't get it twisted. Okay? That's why black people can look like anybody, but anybody can't look like black people. This is some spot on, serious scientific analysis. Okay, you can look it up. You can look it up in your genetics books, unless they're lying. Because you have to understand, the more the technology grows, the more wireless signals are being broadcast, the more control they have over the general population. That's why you have Asians in Asia, Europeans in Europe, Africans in Africa. You know, you got those people in the Amazon or whatever. Why do you think those people are all different? Because they did not have the coverage to broadcast a single signal across the entire planet. They skipped over Africa. You have to understand, you in a spaceship or a intergalactic transport device that is outfitted with an electromagnetic frequency generator. You're not going to be able to beam something across the surface of the entire Earth. So each time they created a race that was a separate individual in a ship above the Earth, because they did not have the technology to actually land. And over the years, space junk accumulated on the vessels, and of course the pilot was a sacrifice. They died. And now we think, that's just a meteorite, or that's just a meteor floating in space. That's an asteroid. That's a comet. No, that's a ship. It's a ship that broadcasts a signal that created a so-called race. They never sent that signal to African, to the black man, until today, because they had to use the other races to establish this network. The black man is the last vestige of true natural humanity on Earth. Okay? That's why they say black people have iron deficiencies. We have an iron deficiency. They failed at completely genetically engineering us to be sensitive to the electromagnetic manipulation, unlike everybody else. Everybody else was a successful experiment. A successful experiment to change the black man, the human, into something else. Something they could use for their plans. Think about it. All these different people out here doing all these different things. And what's happening in Africa? What's happening in Africa? Looks like ain't nothing happening in Africa, right? Because in Africa you have completeness. They're all trying to get back to where they were, doing all kinds of things. But they don't realize that the whole time they've been manipulated by these signals being broadcast. And right now, there's more signals being broadcast than ever before. Yet they still have not covered Africa in signals. They covered the United States in signals, China, all of Asia, Europe, Russia, South America. They covered in signal. And you can tell. You can tell. They're all trying to roll out this 5G. They want to finally be able to reach the African, the black man, the so-called African, because they named it Africa. It's all in your biology, all right? This ferromagnetic control mechanism that they want to roll out, called 5G, is going to be the opening. It's going to open up the floodgates for these guys to start beaming themselves down into the population. They don't want to beam themselves down directly into the body of the Asian or the Caucasian. They want black bodies, because black bodies are more durable. They're closer to the ultimate sort of the ultimate body for survival on Earth. The black man survives on Earth because the black man is of the Earth. They've manipulated the genetics through this ferromagnetic manipulation of all these other races. And now they want black bodies. So what do? They create an environment saturated with electromagnetic energy. And what did we say before? Energy is information. If you control the energy, you control the information. They broadcast this information. They build a shield of satellites around the planet, and then they turn them outwards. What happens when you extend the radio antenna on your radio? You get a better signal. And if you have what's called a transceiver, you can receive, like a walkie-talkie, you receive and you can transmit. sometimes at the same time. So they can transmit the information of their consciousness through this electromagnetic satellite information directly into the bodies of these ferromagnetic humans. The hardest ones to transmit themselves into, though, once they hit 8G, of course, because 5G is not quite enough to do that long distance, because this is interstellar. Okay, this is coming from a long distance. Then they have developed wormhole technology, but they still have to broadcast a signal from the other side of that wormhole, which is, of course, a black hole. Of course, we have black holes on our side, so they would have to do broadcast through the equivalent on the other side, which will be a white hole. Okay, look it up. Look up white holes, white hole theory. Okay. So the black hole is, and actually the black holes are the opposite of what they want you to think they are. Black holes don't suck in energy. Black holes output energy. That's why the universe is stabilized around these black holes. Two black holes putting out energy stabilize each other. And what's in the middle is us. On the other side, on the white hole, you can actually transmit information into and out of it. So they have access, then that's how they get here. They get here through the white hole, and they come out of the black holes into low Earth orbit. Then they can transmit. They want to be able to go from their galaxy to our galaxy, transmit themselves without having to transport their physical bodies through this singularity. Okay? Why? Because it's cheaper. They got money there just like they got money here. Okay? We send up satellites because it costs too much to send up people. And the satellite does the job better. So what's the next step? Beaming a consciousness instead of a body. What happens on the other end? You need a recipient body. Right now, the only recipient bodies that are capable of having the full consciousness transferred into them are the electromagnetically altered bodies of Asians, Caucasians, Indians, all these other people, not black people. Because, like I said before, we have less ferromagnetic material in our bodies. Okay? So, all these Asians, Caucasians especially, who have all this iron in their bodies, they're the perfect vessel for receiving the information or the electromagnetic energy, the repetition of that consciousness. You can print them, you can write on them, you can record onto them like a tape. Just like a tape. Back in the day, you turn on the radio, press the button, you record onto the tape. You play the tape back, you get the same stuff. You get the same stuff. Right? You can't do that with black people. You ever notice how when black people get a hold of something, we play music, we dance, we gotta jazz it up. We gotta add something. We're not tape recorders. These other cats, they're tape recorders. Because that's how they're made. They're made to record and store information being transmitted electromagnetically, just like a tape. Just like a tape in your cassette deck, your VCR, all that stuff. Again, okay, they out here eating, drinking, all this stuff with iron in it. Eating all these soybeans and crap. We don't mess with that. You know why we don't mess with that? Because we are the natural people. Okay? We have the natural gifts, and they've lost them because they've been electromagnetically manipulated by these invasive species who are out there right now, who want to use what we have on our planet for their benefit. They're the real colonizers. You think the white man is a colonizer? No, they're the colonizers. They've colonized an entire solar system. Okay? All these other planets, Venus, Mercury, Neptune, Jupiter, all those planets were originally just like the Earth. Okay? They used them up. So now they're what's known as uninhabitable. Meaning they were habitable at one point. Now they're not. Think about it. Why would we have all this information on these planets if we hadn't been there before? If these electromagnetically altered humans hadn't been there before? We've been around longer than you think. Okay? So, drink the baking soda, the calcium carbonate, and cover those iron atoms in your blood with this alkaline solution. And then you'll see. You'll start to see all of it. Do your own research. Don't take my word for it. But just remember, everybody out there giving you any information is most likely influenced by this electromagnetic spectrum that's surrounding them. They can't help it. It's in the blood. And if it's in the blood, it's in the brain. Alright, peace, guys. Be safe out there. Okay. I'm going to break down for you how these governments, or this government, so-called government of the earth, is controlling you with your own blood. I'm going to break this down using science to show you exactly what is being done to you right under your nose. It's right here. It's science. And I'm going to break it down for you and tell you what you need to do to counteract this nefarious plot being hatched by this one world government, okay, in line with these corporations, these so-called broadcasters of information, because as we all know, energy itself is information. So what's being broadcast? What's in all these radio waves? This 5G technology. I'm going to break down what 5G is in a second. But just remember this, okay? Every country in the world wants to be the first to complete their 5G rollout. Why is that? Why is it competition amongst them? At your job, when you're competing with your coworkers, you're doing that at the behest of who? Of your boss. The boss